Any questions, sisters, before we begin? Anyone? Anyone, any questions? Alhamdulillah. What was the last thing that we talked about? I think it was two weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, alhamdulillah. Anyone? We talked about traveling, we talked about shaking hands and all these things. So the thing is that we have in our Muslim society right now, and again, it all stems from ignorance. Since we don't have a complete or a strong grasp of our faith, we have to be real about this. Since I don't have a strong grasp on my faith as in the complete understanding of issues. For example, hijab, sharia, women fiqh and these stuff. What happens is sometimes the pressures of society break us faster than they should. Remember, our Quran has told us, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Like the people in China, for example, they're being put in a position where they're being tortured to death. In fiqh, it's written, if someone puts a gun to your head and says to you, renounce your Islam or I'll kill you, you renounce it. You renounce it. If it's in your heart that you're a Muslim, at that time you renounce it. That's called extreme situation. But we have to have the ability to judge what is an extreme situation and what isn't based on where our knowledge is. You will have some who will say, we're living in a country that doesn't like Muslims, so we'll just not wear a hijab. Or we'll just try to blend in. Remember one thing, my father told me this story when he used to live in England. And that was back in the 60s. One of their friends or one of their colleagues or whoever it was, later on down the road when he retired from the company, he had changed his name from being a Muslim name. And of course, in tradition with the British cultural society of that time. Remember in the 60s and 70s, they were burning coal to heat their homes and even to cook. Mom used to tell me they put shillings in the stove. You put a shilling and then you cook. And sometimes the food is almost done and the shilling is over, the gas is done. And the question is that do you put another shilling because then it's going to be wasted. These were the hard times. And in those days, you don't step out of your door to pick up the milk because the milkman still delivers unless you're clean shaven and you're dressed properly. It was part of the culture there. You can't walk out in your pajamas or no. This was a thing. So his boss told him, you know, you could change your name, you could shave your beard and try to be like one of us. You're not one of us. Just remember that you're not one of us. So the thing is that it's a false perception if we think by blending in, and I don't know what that means, blending in, we are going to be one of the people. No, you are different. We have to acknowledge that as Muslims, we are different because Muslims are leaders. Every single Muslim is a leader. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made the Sahaba realize this, that you are all leaders. How do I say this? When he delegated all of them, he gave them a certificate of authenticity. Go in the world. Go and spread Islam, i.e. you're leaders. He didn't say, oh, Abu Hurairah, follow Mu'adh bin Jabal. No, he said, go. Everyone go. Ayyub Ansari, go. Everyone went. So our Islam makes us leaders. There's a different discussion if I don't feel comfortable wearing hijab or I don't feel comfortable praying. I'm not going to go into talking about people's personal decisions. But let's not make it seem that I need to compromise so I can be in a better position. In a short term, you may assume to be in a better position. Long term, we're going to be in a disaster. Actually, long term, we might be in our graves, but our kids will face that disaster. China went through phases of rooting out Muslims to where they are today. The Holocaust went through phases to become what it became that time. It was phases. One was pointing out, one was branding them, one was putting the badges, one was separating them from society, one was marking their houses that these are Jews. And then came about the concentration camps. Then came about burning them alive. That came after. The Chinese Muslims were separated from the cities. They're pushed into the countryside. Their holy texts were taken away from them. They were given limited access to Islamic knowledge, which was vetted by the government. And now they're being sent to rehab centers because they're not good citizens. Look, the struggle is going to be real. But ask yourself a simple question. Do I want to do it, or do I want my child to do it? Any mother out there would say, I'll take the bullet for my child. So it's time that we as parents take the bullet for our children. What's the problem? What is the issue? Let us become a solution. Let us address it. Let us start those discussions. We're not going to have maybe fruitful discussions. We may have more disagreements with the people than the people will have, than we thought we would have agreements. It's fine. But at least we start the cycle. There's a very good video I saw the other day on Facebook. When Trump was campaigning in one of his rallies, an African-American man stood up and shouted against Trump. And so the police escort them out. As the police was escorting them out, a Caucasian Texan old man, he smacked them. Like he literally punched him in the face, right? Now, he turned around to retaliate. The police arrested the same African-American guy they were escorting out. They both got arrested ultimately. They went to court. The man that punched him, and it was recorded, I think got probation. And he was saying in the video, he was so mad that this guy punched me. He abused me, and he's getting a slap on the wrist. So when the judge made the decision and they were moving out, he went up to him and he hugged him. The African-American man who was punched by this white man went up to him and hugged him. Initially, he resented him, like, what's going to happen? When he hugged him, that whole thing fell down. He's a human being. We are being dehumanized in this country. You need to restore the humanity. Forget propagating Islam. Forget teaching the religion. Forget talking about hijab and salah. We are human beings as well. If not, our children are going to have a tough time. So in light of what I was trying to say, yes, I am not fully equipped in my knowledge of my religion as other people in their faith are well versed. You know what we're going to do then? Is that we're going to work towards understanding that before we make haphazard decisions. Sometimes we'll see Muslim sisters say, oh, we're living in America, we can shake hands in the masjid, or we could come pray in the masjid. No, there's a difference of what happens in your public life, in the work field. If that's what they're doing, you have an opportunity to educate them. But if they're not educated and someone just stakes their hand out and expects you to shake it, you shake it, that's done. But you don't have to come into the masjid and say, no, we're going to make this American masjid. In our country, separation of church and state. Your mosque represents your faith and ideals. Do what you're doing here, so long it's not a blatant, open threat to the society at large or what this country stands for. We practice our religion. We learn our modesty and we take it outside. So we don't have to become ultra-liberal, nor do we have to stay ultra-conservative. We need to be Muslims. Our deen is moderation. We have to do it. The other day, a brother asked me a question. Two brothers were debating, so they came to me. What is the length of a journey that a person becomes a musafir? So they're disputing between themselves, and one goes, okay, if I drive more than 43 miles in a circle, like I'm going McKinney, Allen, this, and I'm doing more than 43, I'm a musafir. I said, no, musafir is going from point A to point B. If I have intention to go to Austin, as I step out of my house, I'm a musafir. I could pray 2 rakat right there, right? If I was going towards Dallas, I'm not a musafir. But when I got to Dallas, I said, I want to go Austin. Now I become a musafir from that point onwards. So the brother said, yes, Imam, you can only be musafir if you're going for halal things. I said, what? He goes, if you're going to go Las Vegas to do haram, then you're not a musafir. Okay. So, and I'm going to be talking about that in the khutbah this Friday, not about that incident, but how we all like to give a fatwa or a jurisprudence position when our religion is really something bigger. I don't know if it was a King Abdullah of Jordan or which king it was. They go to Vegas, they gamble, right? Yeah. But I'm pointing out the good thing. The good thing is time for tahajjud. Look, I'm not judging his life. Time for tahajjud. He says, I'm done here. I'm going to go pray my tahajjud. I'm going to pray my fajr. So now would he say that, okay, I'm doing haram, so I'm not going to... The guy's praying. You understand? The guy's praying. Let's look at the fact. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? The person is performing their obligations of deen. Like, we have to see beyond all the smoke screen. Like I said in the khutbah, when I was campaigning with Bernie Sanders' campaign, we were up in Brooklyn, working with Hasidic Jews and everyone else. We had a very strong team of Muslims. And Sister Ahlam from Chicago, she's Palestinian, and she was leading one aspect of the campaign. And when we were having our final huddle that evening and everyone's breaking away, she said, I need to call it a night. I need to wake up for tahajjud, pray fajr, start the day. And if I was to judge her based on that she's not wearing a hijab, and also what, she's not a good enough Muslim anymore? What her connection with Allah, I don't know. So we have to stop that judgmental mentality on both ends. Oh, Americans will be happier if I go all out. Even Americans, many Americans detest the so-called common culture of the society today. They won't allow their children, especially in Texas, to dress like celebrities dress. They won't allow their girls to go out as people may think. Not the whole society follows that one culture. It could be MTV's culture, it could be People's Magazine's culture or Vogue's culture, but that's not America's culture. That's some people. Be who we are, and not to appease a certain demographics, may it be a liberal perspective or a conservative perspective. Let me not try to appease someone because they want to see me as religious or they want to see me like them. I am who I am. Once that discussion's off the table and you're comfortable in your skin, it's just like a bee. The bee, if it comes and sits on you, if he smells fear, he's going to sting you. Once you get scared, they feel your body is going into this mechanism to hurt me. I'm going to hurt you first. It's like a snake also. Snakes there, you don't bother, it doesn't bother you. But the second you do something that's provocative, that it feels that it may be in danger from you, it's going to come and attack you. But if 1,000 bees are on you and you're comfortable, you're fine, your inner body is relaxed, they're relaxed also. It's just like water. When you go swimming in water, if you're scared of the water, doesn't matter how good you can make the strokes, the backstroke, the water is pulling you down. The second you're at peace with the water lifts you right up on the surface. Literally, you can float like a dead body. Try it. Just float like a dead body. Why? Because you're at peace. We need to come to peace with who we are. Our 2019 resolution, inshallah, is we're no longer going to have discussions of why we do what we do different. No one sits down and has a discussion why I have 2 patties in my burger and why you have a vegetable patty in your burger, why I put mustard and you don't put mustard. Those are not discussions. They're not discussions. So inshallah, going back to that, shaking hands, traveling, everyone has their unique circumstance. If I understand my religious framework, inshallah, I'll be able to make a more constructive decision, inshallah. The last thing we had talked about was accepting the decree of Allah. Did we cover that? Accepting the decree? You remember that? That the Prophet ﷺ said that how amazing and astonishing is the affair of a Muslim. Everything that happens for a Muslim is good. Remember one thing. Life is going to be hardships. And you need to teach your children that. You have to. Because the one aspect that Christianity teaches, which is known, is that Jesus will solve all your problems. Right? This is how the churches function. You go up to the priest, and she's like, I can't walk. And he'll slap her or do something, and Holy Spirit, and then she's running, right? So whatever it is, our children say, why is my religion so bad that Allah can't solve one of my problems? There's people's problems being solved there. Isa a.s. brought the dead to life. Isa a.s. made a sketch like of a bat or a bird in the sand, and he said, be, and it became. He healed lepers and blind people. It's what he did, right? It was a miracle of a prophet. But remember one thing. His life wasn't easy also. His miracles didn't give him the power to make his life a life of honor and integrity. They were constantly after him. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had most miracles than any prophet had. He split the moon in half. Angel had asked him, if you want the mountains of Makkah to become gold for you. The angel asked him, if you want Uhud to become gold for you. Saying is that they have found a lot of gold on Uhud. And that's why they're not allowing people to go up there, because they've done some studies, and there's practically a lot of gold inside that one mountain. Rasulullah said, no, I don't want it, but Allah still made it. So many miracles. But where was his life easy? Where was his life fair? Why did Allah take Khadija at the time when he needed her the most? Why did Allah make his daughters divorced when they were migrating towards more stability? Why did Allah, after everything was said and done, and hopefully Islam could see a sense of normalcy, Allah took Ibrahim from him? But he's telling us, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. Everything's good. Yes, we should cry. Yes, we should rejoice. Yes, we should express our pain. But we don't wail. We don't rip off our clothing. We don't question Allah why He did what He did. Our religion's so beautiful. Cry. Come together as family. Express those raw emotions. But there's limits on that also. You have to let that part out. But remember, the outcome is not only will Allah give you the strength and the stability to endure the problem, He will allow you to see something different. I said, the light at the end of the tunnel, just keep moving. Muslim, just keep moving. Doesn't matter if you're moving at a snail's pace, just keep moving. We'll find something. But don't stop, and tell your children not to stop. It's only gonna be good when we allow Allah to show us what He knows is good. And it's only gonna be bad when we feel we should get only what we deem as good. Because Allah, He doesn't fight. If you push Allah and say, no, I want this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, Allah says, go ahead and do it. With all happiness. I was like, go ahead and do it, go. But the thing is here, I'm not coming along with you. You go do it. I'm not coming with you. Now it's you and the world. When it was with the will of Allah, with the permission of Allah, with the decree of Allah, with the decision of Allah, then it was with the assistance of Allah. Rasulullah used to have bodyguards. He used to have bodyguards because they wanted to kill him. It was a natural human instinct. Look, I'm propagating a message. They want to kill me. I better get some help. It's a common thing. Anyone who is a threat in society, the FBI, the police will come and protect them. They'll put cars outside the house. Why? Because the life of a citizen is in danger. It's a simple thing. But when Allah revealed the verse that He's going to take care of Muhammad ﷺ, He said, go, I don't need you. How many instances of people coming to kill the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ failed? Umar radiallahu anhu is coming to kill the Prophet ﷺ. Someone said, go check your own sister. Go fix your own home first. And because of that, he became one of the biggest assets to Islam. لَوْ كَانَ بَعْدِي نَبِيًّا لَكَانَ عُمَرٌ. If there was to be a prophet after me, it would have been Umar. Because Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu represented that leadership in a way that was distinct. There was a time when the Prophet ﷺ was traveling with the Sahaba. They stopped in the middle of the desert. They all took shelter under a tree. They all lie down and go to sleep. And the Prophet ﷺ wakes up, and a guy has the Prophet ﷺ's sword over his face. He could have chopped his head off. مَنْ يَمْنَعُكَ مِنِّي. Who's going to save you now? And the Prophet ﷺ smiled and said, Allah. Why did he smile? Because, Allah, you said you're protecting me. Whatever is happening, it's your protection. When they had surrounded the muhasara of the house, and Ali radiallahu went in the bed, and he walked out in the midst of all of them. Why? Allah said, I'm going to protect you. Allah's protection didn't mean that they were not going to come to you. Allah's protection didn't mean that they're not going to come close to you. Allah's protection didn't mean that you could literally feel their breath on the back of your neck. Allah's protection means, let me do what I'm going to do to show you to appreciate what I'm going to do after that. He brought them right around the house. and how the Prophet ﷺ exited, it's a miracle. Miracles are true. Anbiya had mu'jizat. Humans have karamat. A mu'jiza is a continuous miracle. A mu'jiza is a one-off time miracle that humans can't do. But you know when those things happen? When you free fall into the hands of Allah. And no one's saying go jump off a building right now or something. No. When in your life you're like, it's in your hands, Allah. 110%, not 99.9. 110% is for you, Allah. And whenever situations are going up and down and people are looking at you and you're just smiling, no tension, no stress. They check your pulse, you're alive, your blood pressure is 120/80. What's wrong with you? Nothing. But this is happening. He's taking care of it. You told your attorney to take care of it. He's taking your money. Maybe he's getting 10 calls from the court and he's ignoring it, but you're saying the attorney's taking care of it. Allah, before even something happens, knew it was going to happen. And even when it's happening, what's going to happen, He knows all about it. So a decree of the Muslim's sister accepts the will and decree of Allah, and so does the brother. I don't know if you sisters know, we are doing the same book for the brothers. Not exclusively, sisters come also on our monthly breakfast. Alhamdulillah, this Saturday we had over 250 people here, alhamdulillah. So we want the sisters to still come. This is not just for brothers. We had mashallah sisters eat here also. They're coming, but we're not seeing a large number of them. I know the weather is a factor, but whenever we have our monthly breakfast, we're doing how to be a Muslim, different book, kind of the same structure, different content. But again, it's for all of us. You know, this is also for me, and that's also for the sisters also. So in regards to that, I think we had this one story here. Mace used to do, she goes to the places where she usually prays and seeks Allah's help with prayer and patience. No one is saying, don't go to the doctor. No one is saying, don't call the insurance company. No one is saying, leave your doors open. Anything we do in life, preventative measures, reactive measures, whatever it is, the first thing we do is pray, ask Allah, and then go about doing what we're supposed to. Simple. If you don't have time for 4 minutes, 5 minutes for 2 rak'ah, just make a dua. Ask Allah to help you in something. Just take His name. That's all is needed. If you can pray 2 rak'ah, it's more effective. If not, make a dua. If you don't even have time for dua, just say Bismillah. Allah, I need you on this one with me. That's sufficient. It is enough to see how Allah helps you through this predicament. Asma bint Umayyah radiallahu anha used to do when disasters and tragedies stuck one after the other. Should be struck actually. She lost her first husband, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Then she was struck by the death of her second husband, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Then by her son, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr radiallahu anhu. There are many other examples in the history of Muslim women who had faith, hoping for reward from Allah, and facing difficulties with patience and fortitude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them greatly. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who patiently persevere will truly receive a reward without measure. Chapter number 39, verse number 10. A reward without measure. Let me tell you one reward. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. He is with you. He is with you because of your patience. That's a big statement. It's like, you know, maybe mostly don't follow, and then you follow basketball, but you know, when a player leaves a certain team and another team, he says, I'm joining this team, I'm with you now, right? Davis is leaving New Orleans, he might come to the Lakers. Now, that's a big thing. You know, he's with them. So it shows strength, just as statement shows strength. Allah is saying, I'm with you. That's a strong statement. That's a very strong statement. What happens is separate, but Allah is with you. Moving along from that, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Talk about one or two things today. The next point, because again, we're coming towards closing soon, inshallah. Actually, Muslim sister with her Lord. It should be coming. Let's see how many pages are left. And we still have a few more pages. But now the subject matters are smaller and they're more concise. What else does a Muslim sister do as she connects with her Lord? Remember, this is a complete package. This is like coleslaw. You cannot pick if you want the carrots or it's in there, right? If you want coleslaw, it has what it has already made. You cannot pick and choose now. So in this coleslaw, one of the distinct features is that she turns to Allah in repentance often. See, istighfar is something that our ummah today is losing. There was just 5 years ago maybe a cultural istighfar. You know, if someone said something or did something, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Or in some cultures, I don't know why they hold the ear. Astaghfirullah, I don't know what that is, but you know, whatever people do, right? Astaghfirullah was a cultural statement just a little while back. Before that, in the time of the Sahaba, istighfar was, if we did even a small misdeed, it was like a mountain would fall on our head. But then a time came, it was just like a fly. You do a major sin, it's like, oh, it's okay, forget it. The biggest failure and destruction to our ummah in our society is when sin will no longer be categorized as sin. When sin will no longer be categorized as sin, then no one will make any effort towards making istighfar because there'll be no inclination because it's not wrong. Our entire world right now is pushing to not just legitimize or legalize, but to normalize wrong. Normalizing the wrong. This is a very big thing. لو لم تستغفروا لذهب الله بكم ولجاء بقوم يستغفرون يذنبون فيستغفرون الله فيغفر لهم. Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, if you don't make istighfar, if you stop making istighfar, Allah will take you away. Allah will remove you. Allah will remove you. What does that mean? It could mean physically He will remove us. It could mean metaphorically, He will remove our authenticity or legitimacy when it comes to Islam. We will just be nobodies. وَلَجَاءَ, and He will bring qawm, a people, that will do what? Make sins. يُذْنِبُونَ, they're going to make sins. But then يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ Allah. As I said, whatever it is, I shouldn't have said his name, but any king or any person, they're making a sin. But if they said astaghfirullah, you know, some people say, oh, what kind of Muslim are you? You're making a sin, you're making istighfar, you're making fun of Allah. We were just saying that not too far ago. Now no one's making istighfar. Look at the deterioration. It was a cultural practice. Then it was, okay, I did not make istighfar, and people make fun of me for doing that. You know you're doing wrong, then why are you making istighfar? Now no one is making istighfar as it used to be. Allah will bring a people, they're going to make sins and then make istighfar so Allah may forgive them. One of Allah's quality is Ghafur Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafirud Dhamb. He's off-forgiving, off-forgiving. If I was Kroger and I got extra shipment of milk today, what am I going to do? Put it like $1, $2, get it out. I want it out. Because if it stays with me, I have storage problems and it's going to spoil. So even if I lose some money, I'd rather have it out and not waste it. I'd have space for my other items, right? Allah, His istighfar, like in an Amazon warehouse, is sitting right there. He wants it out. He wants it to go. If you're not seeking it and He's not giving it, the warehouse is filling up with forgiveness. He'll just remove and bring someone who will do that. We cannot normalize evil and sin. And we need to always have these conversations with our children. What is right and what is wrong? That these two criteria, these two standards have to be acknowledged. There is right and there is wrong. There is moral, there is immoral. There is just, there is unjust. There has to be that defined. If you don't make the define, it's just going to become like garments and everything else. Everything is unisex. Unisex perfume, unisex garments. What does that mean? It's okay, everything's okay. No, not everything's okay. Don't fall in that trap. There has to be a line, and that line better be made with cement or concrete. There has to be that line. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself says, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, Inni, verily I, la astaghfirullah, I seek repentance from Allah, wa la atubu ilay, and I turn to Him, fi yawmin, in a day, akthara min sab'ina marra, more than 70 times. The Prophet Muhammad is making istighfar. The prophets are not sinners. They have made mistakes or misjudgments, yes, but those were not sins. Musa made a misjudgment by treating that person, but he died. He didn't go to murder him. Adam alayhi made the mistake up in heaven. Allah says, وَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. Adam alayhi made the mistake. He made a mistake, but he did not make the sin. The point is, the Prophet ﷺ, even Aisha radiallahu anha said that, why are you praying tahajjud all night and crying? And Allah has forgiven all your past and future sins. There's no sins. Why are you doing it?
No.
Huh?
He said, I want to be like that.
Abdan Shakura. Yes. Not only do you want to be grateful, but he expressed to us gratitude comes from seeking forgiveness. That's another beautiful thing he tells us, that becoming a grateful servant is by seeking that forgiveness. And he's telling us by swearing to Allah. Do you think the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has to swear to Allah to prove something to us? No. He doesn't have to prove it. He doesn't have to swear to Allah to gain legitimacy of his words. His words are revelation. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. The Prophet ﷺ never spoke from his own thought. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Everything he spoke in his personal affairs, family affairs, community affairs, propagation of the message, it was a revelation. That is why there's something called Quran and Hadith. Why do we give reverence to the Hadith and importance and protection of it? Why are we trying to uphold the chain of narrations of Hadith? Because Allah has promised to preserve the Quran. The Hadith is our responsibility to preserve and protect. Why is it important? Because this is called Wahi Matlu. The Quran is a revelation that's being recited as an act of reward. And this is Wahi Ghair Matlu. It is a revelation that's not being recited as an act of reward, but it is a very distinct and important part of our entire religion, because it's a revelation. It's a revelation. So seeking forgiveness is something that if we don't do, going into Jahannam is practically impossible. Remember this. Going to Jahannam for anyone is practically impossible. It will only become possible when wrong will become right. Because if you commit 20 sins today, or you committed 200 sins today, you got 200 sins on your account. You did one salah with jama'ah, you got 27 plus. You got maybe 100 or 200 rewards, maybe more. You came and sat in the masjid with the intention to learn. You're sitting here is ibadah. The angels are praying for you. The fish and the birds are praying for you. You might have got maybe 1,000, 100,000, 200,000 rewards. So how can it be for a Muslim to have every single opportunity, even if they're using the 0.01% of those opportunities, how is it possible for that amount to be exceeded by a sin's amount? Simple. When the sin is no longer a sin and the sin continues to happen, it festers to other sins and there's no regret, remorse, or repentance, it is now multiplying by the second. Still one. Lied? One. Cheated? One. Killed? One. Major one. But in one. Sin is a one. A reward, a hasana, is 10 plus. Or 10 times. It's 10 times whatever. It keeps on going. So a Muslim woman may find herself becoming neglectful and slipping away from the straight path, so she may fall short in her practice of Islam in a way that does not befit the believing woman, but she will soon notice her error, seek forgiveness for her mistakes or shortcomings, and return to the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, remember one thing. We will see people in our circle, our families, our friends, that will slip by the wayside. They might stop praying, they might take off their hijab, they might speak ill about Islam. Show more love to them, because they will come back. Don't push them. That's what I think. A believing woman, There's going to be our peaks and valleys in life where we're going to hit some valleys, but Allah, because of that grain of faith in my heart, maybe will rekindle it, and I'll come back to Allah and say, forgive me. When I say forgive me, maybe if there's 100,000 sins, it's gone. And not only sometimes does Allah remove the sins, Allah yubaddilullahu sayyi'atim hasanat. Allah will say, you turned to me, I'm so happy. Your 100,000 sins, I converted them into good deeds. Right? I've taken your pounds and I've converted into dollars. Without even diminishing it. Allah says, I want to give you more. SubhanAllah, this is Allah's blessing. We need to have an ummah that is aware that there's someone watching me and that whenever I slip, I can turn back. Some of us make the religion so hard that people say there's no need to turn back because no one's going to accept me anyways. It's evident by the fact that my own people are not accepting me. We create an environment that either represents the goodness of Allah or the goodness of the devil. That's what I'll say. The goodness of Allah means that mercy and kindness that reflects Allah. And the goodness of devil is the division, the separation, the demonizing. That's what the devil's good at. That's what he likes to do good. That's his good. That's my bad. So I need to go against the devil's way. Always learn to bite our tongues. Always learn to bite our emotional positions. Put your foot on it. Say no. Don't let anyone feel bad. And say to yourself, if you want to say something, I could have been in that position right now. Maybe Allah will make me like them, but inshallah, Allah will for sure take her back and bring her back to a better position. If we lose that moral compass, we are traveling in an open ocean, not knowing what direction we're going in. It's a very scary position. That's why in the Holy Quran, in chapter number 7, verse number 201, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, those who fear Allah, when a thought of evil from shaitan assaults them, bring Allah to remembrance when lo, they see aright. So beautiful. Sometimes even Allah, Allah will give that way for shaitan to insert a bad position, a bad thought. I'm like, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. It was just to remind how connected you are with Allah. Allah gave Ibrahim Ismail alayhi salam, and then Allah said, sacrifice him, to see if the connection with you and me was lost or is it still there. Allah didn't want to kill Ismail alayhi salam. He wanted to show Ibrahim alayhi salam's connection with him. So even if something negative, bad comes to my mind and I say astaghfirullah, even if it is so-called hypocritical, start it. Why? Because we need to restore it. It's lost. It is lost. And we need to create an environment that in the days of good, we're making more istighfar. And in the days of hardships, we're making more praise and shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because our hardships could have been much worse. And the good days may become a curse if we don't remove our pride and arrogance from us. That, oh, this is mine. No. It's all a test from Allah. There's no one in this world that is exempt from Allah's tests. Everyone's being tested. No one is free from Allah's test. Someone's being tested with wealth. Someone's being tested without wealth. Someone is being tested with health. Someone's being tested without health. You could take every scenario. It's all a test. So istighfar is something that inshallah we can make a commitment that I'm going to make at least 70 istighfar every day. Why? Because my Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did 70. So I'm going to at least start with 70. Now how could that happen? After every prayer, if I do maybe 15 or so, 15, 30, 45, 60, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. That's right there. It's 15. No? What is istighfar? Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah alladhi la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum wa atubu ilayh. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh dhalimin. Look at this amazing istighfar. Yunus alayhi salam is in the whale's stomach. What did Allah teach him? Allah inspired the words, La ilaha illa anta subhanak إني كنت من الظالمين. Salah, we're making istighfar as we finish. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kathira wa innahu la yaghfiru dhunuba illa ant. Wallah, I did a big wrong. Only you could forgive. What wrong did you do? You just prayed. No, I didn't pray the way Allah wanted me to pray. So, istighfar, and for those who may not know the words, oh Allah, forgive me. Say in any language. Teach your children even in English. For those who may not be inclined or connected or well versed, teach them, even not new Muslims when they come. What do you guys say after prayer? We say, oh Allah, forgive me. We say, praise be to Allah. We say, there's no God but you, Allah. What does that mean? You're helping them do something now. If not, we're teaching them a word and they're like, I need to sit down and learn that word. But the essence of it is lost. Yes, inshallah, they should learn the word. But until then, they should understand what it is that is being done. That's more important. The heart that is filled with love and fear of Allah will not be overcome by negligence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us of ghafla. Ghafla is a state of negligence. If there is water and milk with a tea bag, that's tea, right? A heart that has fear of Allah and love of Allah has to be a balance. No one is saying it has to be a 50-50 balance, but the balance should be such that it reflects something better, right? So the love and fear of Allah, if it's in our heart, then one will not be overcome by negligence. It is those who ignore Allah's commands and guidance who will be led astray. And this is a beautiful thing, led astray. What does this mean? When Allah constantly throws opportunity on your doorstep, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm your Lord, I'll help you with this, I gave you that, don't forget me. And we're like, just sweeping aside, we're sweeping aside. So Allah then does, when we talk about dalala, leading astray, He just stops throwing those opportunities. Don't perceive it that Allah is saying, you I like, you are the ones I'm going to guide. You I hate, by default, I'm going to misguide. No, it's not like that. Every human being is created with equal opportunity. Allah will give all those, sometimes you start talking to a new friend, you're talking, texting, but when friendship gets older, it's just more purpose-based. But Allah in the beginning will be throwing those opportunities. In life will be throwing those opportunities. But a person who every time Allah throws those reminders, those text messages, those emails, and those phone calls, and you keep on ignoring and blocking and deleting and spamming it, Allah will just stop sending them to you. You have decided to go away from me, so my path of guidance is a path. You want to take another path, that's not my path. So I cannot help take you from this path to that destination. Does that make sense? I cannot help you get to San Antonio when you're going towards Prosper. I cannot make a new road that goes around. You want to go north, you go north. I'm going south. My road is going south. So Hidayah is going to San Antonio. Dalala is going to Prosper. Now, don't think I'm putting Prosper down or San Antonio up. The thing is that you want that road. That's not my road. So don't call and complain to me what's happening on that road. I tried to get you on this one. Even times will come, Allah will still tell again and again. But when that moment comes in life, when Allah says He seals their hearts, He puts the veil in front of them, and they become summun bukmun umyun. What does that mean? Now they know so much of Allah's existence, but now they're gonna make full-fledged effort to put Allah down and discredit Him. They will become instruments of trials, instruments of misguidance, instruments of evil. In a seerah book it's written how Abu Jahl and all of them, they loved the Quran. They loved the Quran. They used to stand by the wall of the Prophet's house and listen to the Quran all night. They used to guise themselves and go sit down. The Quran's words are so addictive. It is, if it were to be a song, it would be on the top of the charts. We have lost the power of the Quran. That Quran, the words of it, the sweetness of it, the emotional connection of it, the way it touches my soul, nothing could touch my soul like that. It fills voids. A person could be alone, but it fills voids. A person can be in distress. It could fill the void of uncertainty in your mind and in your heart. That Quran comes if we allow it to come with Allah's love and Allah's fear. We have a lot of work to do. And that's why we're doing this, to set forth a path of what work I need to do. So going back to that, the enemies loved it, but they adamantly worked against it. So Allah locked their hearts. Look, if you don't want something, don't badmouth it. The Prophet ﷺ sunnah was, if he disliked the food, he didn't talk bad about it. Just didn't touch it. You're touching it, and then you're bad-mouthing it. You're listening to it, and then you're discrediting it. There's something wrong here. Now Allah seals hearts. That's dangerous. So we will have our phases of peaks and valleys again. Always keep repentance on the tip of your tongue. And the only way you can test that is when something negative is done, how fast do I turn to remember Allah and repent to Him? And when should you worry? When you start making excuses for what you did. When you start making excuses for what you do, you have now started down the path that can lead to sealing of hearts. Oh, no. I had a different intention. Oh, no. Allah knows my heart. We're humans. I could be 78 years old. I made a mistake. We need to say that. I made a mistake. We're humans. We will make mistakes. We can accept that in front of our spouse, in front of our children, in front of our friends. We need to accept it. I made a mistake. Because if I come to terms with it, I can then come to terms with Allah with it. But if I don't come to terms with Allah, I'm going to make it a legitimate act in the eyes of the people. The lady who committed adultery, at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, only 4 women were stoned to death. Let me teach you some of the Sharia class today. They were stoned to death because that is a Medina law. It's not a Quranic law. The laws of the penal law system was applied and incorporated into Islam as it was the law of the land of Yathrib in Medina. Okay? Stoning was the law of Yathrib and Medina, not of Islam. One of the verses that came down for stoning to legitimize it, that was mansukh, it was then taken out, was الشيخ والشيخة إذا زنيا فرجموهما. What the Quran said, that if an old man and an old woman or an old woman commit adultery, you stone them. Okay? The Quran gave legitimacy to the law of the land, but in a certain context. Because the Quran and Allah knew that people had been doing this in a common basis. When the Quran said only 4, up to 4. It didn't say only 4, it said up to 4. When the Quran said not your mother, not your sister, not your aunt, not your daughter, what was going on? There was no concept of relationship. You could sleep with whoever you want. Quran was molding society back to a position of civility. So in the same faction here, Quran was trying to lay down a law by working off the law that existed amongst the people. So they would be stoning left and right. The Prophet ﷺ is not just a messenger in Medina, he's a governor of Medina now. So he had to make decisions for these affairs also. Now a lady comes to him. And again, sorry, then that verse was taken out and it was put with lashes. And again, adultery, if you look at the context of it in Islam, it is so hard to prove. It is so hard to prove. Literally, no one would get lashed. It is not 2 people hugging, holding hands. That's not adultery. Sharia has made it so hard for this to be punishable, but it did one thing. It said the modesty is the standard of our open society. What you do in closed doors is your business. What happens in the open streets, in the public places, is modesty, right? So this lady came. I know we got to a lot of discussions here, but this lady came. She said, Ya Rasulullah, I committed adultery. He turned away from her. He turned away from her. She came to the other side. I committed adultery. He turned away from her. She came to the third side. She committed adultery. She said, so what she's doing here, she's testifying against herself. He turned away from her. The fourth time, the fourth side, she came around. He said, I committed adultery. This is my baby. I'm pregnant. He said, he took out a clause. He said, go take care of your health. When you deliver the baby, come to me. He was hoping that she would forget. He had to enforce the law. It's his duty. He cannot enforce his emotions. It has to be the law. But she testified 4 times against herself, and 4 testimonies, 4 people's testimony is valid in this case, and she did it against herself. There's no question now. But he tried to push it. She gave birth. She came back. She said, this is my baby. He said, go nurse the baby for a period of time, hoping that she would make her tawbah and come to a closure with Allah. She then came back after a while. She said, this the baby's grown up now. Enforce the punishment of Allah on me. Put it on me. So they dug the hole, and according to the Medina law, they stoned her. That was the law of the land. And when they were stoning her, I think it was like a drop of blood had splat, and it went on one Sahabi like that. And the Prophet Muhammad said, لَوْ قُسِمَتْ عَلَىٰ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ Her tawbah is so sincere that if it was to be distributed on the all of Medina, it would give forgiveness to all of Medina. Don't underestimate your istighfar. And at the same time, don't overlook the importance of acknowledging right from wrong. She knew she did wrong, and she had to come to terms with it, and she did it her way. Never did the Sahaba go into people's houses at night and look at what they're doing and say, come to court tomorrow, we're going to punish you. None of our business. Stick to our business and do what we had to do. But the fact that she said, I did something wrong, makes me and my society better. But when we start saying, oh, it's not a wrong, we say, don't listen to music. Okay, fine. But we can listen to Bollywood music. But what's the standard then? Right is right, wrong is wrong. If it's wrong for me, it's wrong for you. If it's wrong for you, it's wrong for me. We have to create an environment where we don't give leeway for wrong to be seen as right. And that's exactly what we're going towards. A life and a society where people say there's nothing wrong with that. These are very dangerous words. There is nothing wrong with that. That is very dangerous. Because now you are legitimizing it, legalizing it, and then you're also contesting Allah's ability to comprehend the situation on the ground. The Quran was revealed twice. Inna anzalnahu inzal tanzil. On the Laylatul Qadr, the Quran came from Lawh Mahfuz to the world, sky of the world. The entire Quran came to the sky of the world. Allah was telling us, whatever's going to happen next 23 years, I already got the solution for it. I know, and I got the answers. So don't think Allah didn't know. It wasn't like I was saying, oh, it's happening. Let me write it. Send it. Jibreel, go down and send it. No, He knew it. He had it all planned out. Quran already came down. Then Tanzeel meant piece by piece, paragraph by paragraph, surah by surah, circumstance-based, they kept on coming down 23 years. But Allah is saying, I had it already written. It was all done. It was written before this whole earth and the whole world was created. The whole universe was created. So don't underestimate forgiveness. Don't let forgiveness pile up in Allah's warehouse, because you know what He's going to do? He's going to remove us, bring someone else who will make istighfar. This is such a very important topic that, subhanAllah, almost all our time went into that. I think we'll stop on this. I'll take some questions or thoughts, and we'll continue next week with sense of responsibility, which is another good topic. But again, let us make istighfar because we forgot to make istighfar. And we have to make istighfar for the void of istighfar. We have to make istighfar for the absence of istighfar. We have to make istighfar because we never thought istighfar was important anymore. There's a lot of backup to do. And that's what tawbah is. Tawbah, Allah's saying, why are you running forward so fast? Just come back. Tawbah means going back, turning back. I was saying in the fundraiser on Saturday in Watauga about, it wasn't a fundraiser, we were saying this, the swift pace world. Oh no, we had an event on over the weekend. Someone's mother passed away. And on that I was talking about how we live in a swift pace world. There's many perks to that. You get to go to more places, get to get more things done, get to experience more cities and people and cultures and exposure. It's all good. It's a fast-paced world. We could get to Malaysia, here, there. We could just run. It's good. The downside is we are not enabling ourselves to enrich the experience of those things. If I went to a million cities, there's not a million cities, I went to 100 cities in the world, but I was like in and out. I saw them, I took a selfie, I posted it and pinned it in my Facebook, so I am there, but I never got to take it in and experience the total feel of what that was. In the same token, we're running so fast for so many different things, we are lacking the ability to take in the beautiful experience of children, spouse, home, family, health, time. And well, excuse me, I'll come back. Oh, we didn't finish that in New York. We'll come back next time, right? I didn't get to talk to mom today. We'll talk to her tomorrow. It's always letting those things off to later time because we are in a pace, we are on this mission to cover more ground. But that ground, our feet are not touching it properly. Touching it properly means you immerse yourself into that time. If I have time with my mom, I spend good time with my mom. If I have time with my children, I complete a full good time with children. Make those experiences whole. Don't make the excuse of the next thing up to postpone, delay, or let go of that thing. There's a WWF, or now it's WWE wrestler, who was giving a motivational talk to children here in America about his experience with his mother. He was talking about how when he was famous that time, he was traveling the world, and his mom would always call him. From the get-go, his mom was behind him. Son, come home now. Son, do this. Son, do that. He goes, I was always tell mom, why are you always nagging and breathing down my throat? Just leave me alone. And so every time he was a child, she was bothering him. When he became the successful person and he was traveling to different countries in the world, she would still call him, son, how are you? How's it going? And mom, after. Mom, I'm busy now. Mom, I'm going there now. Mom, I have to do this now. And around 2 o'clock in the morning when he was in Japan, his agent knocked the door of the hotel and said, we need to go home. He said, no, we have the event. He goes, no, we need to go home. He said, why? He goes, because your mom died. And he ran out into the street and started screaming and crying. He said that all my life I said later, and there's no more later. Later's gone, it's over. So in a fast-paced world, yes, there is perks, but don't let those perks overshadow the reality of those experiences. I'd rather go to one city and experience every nook and corner of it and say I enjoyed it, than to say I went to 50 different cities, I was there for like 5 hours, and what, right? I'd rather have my family and a friend which I can enjoy with instead of always constantly trying to build my friend portfolio and not be able to learn from them or share with them. Tawbah, come back in, simplify life. Because, as I said last night, a child and every human being, we're like the stomach. The stomach by default is like the size of your fist. The more you keep on pushing into it, the more it will naturally just expand itself. Now you kept on pushing it to be this big, and then you say, okay, I'm going to give you this much food today. It's not going to be happy. It's going to still grumble because you made it this big. It didn't make itself big. So we are the ones who spoil our outlook on life, our nature, our ways. We're the ones who spoil our children. Our children by default aren't spoiled. But when we give them, and fall into what they want, we're just expanding that stomach. And then when you try to restrict it, no way. You told me this much. Now why are you going back here? So for us, it's imperative, all of us, let's go back. Allah keeps on giving us advice. Come back. Come back to what's right. That's why we fast. Bring the stomach back in. That's why we turn to Allah and eat less. Bring the stomach back in. That's why we do things to bring back the sense of gratitude and appreciation and happiness and contentment, satisfaction. Bring it back in. That's the only way life will become comfortable. If not, the more it expands, the more air we put in it, the more misery lies ahead. Any questions, inshallah? Yes.
Like, just to mention, like in this swift-paced world, we are like always on rush, and even if we feel like, oh, I need to make stuff far, like you are saying stuff, but then you don't realize it. Like, I feel that personally, I'm like, I did everything I can do, just as far, then I'm like, I'm giving in still, like, what, like, how do you feel like you're connected, like, it means something to you? I feel like
the fast-paced istighfar and du'as and zikrs, never underestimate them. There was a time when scholars and all of us, we underestimate that. You know, if you really care about Allah's relationship, then go sit down and do it properly. No, we're losing that also now. So even if it's fast-paced, tell yourself, I'm going to give myself 60 seconds in a day. 60 seconds. 60 seconds, I'm just going to sit down. It doesn't have to be in the masjid. It doesn't have to be in your home musalla. Sit down on the chair by the island of your kitchen. Just sit down on those stools. And just for 60 seconds, say your alhamdulillah, say your astaghfirullah, and just let it come from inside. Even if it's one, it's good enough. Because a rebuilding process starts from nothing. It starts from basic small things. And then you will then expand that to 120, 180, 240, 360. Those seconds will increase. Let it happen organically. But I know we have, some of us, inshallah, all of us have a sense of guilt of that we're not doing enough. Keep that guilt going, because that guilt is driving us to better ourselves, not to throw us down. Remember, fear and love is our faith, right? So the fear of Allah and the love of Allah has to be the balance. 60 seconds, inshallah, you know? Even if you're on a traffic light, stopped, and no one's in the car, do your 60 seconds right there. Because nowadays some traffic lights, 1 minute, some 2-3 minutes, so alhamdulillah.
The one with the Spring Creek and the
I hate that one.
Fixes for us.
I hate that.
Okay, I just we should just say something. SubhanAllah, in the Adhkar al-Sabah and al-Masa, when we say the worship Allah in the morning, and we have Sayyid al-Istighfar, like Allahumma anta rabbi la ilaha illa anta. So I feel like if we're saying it in the morning or after Maghrib, I think that's like, for me, it's such a like, I was going to say, Sayyid al-Istighfar, Allahumma anta rabbi la ilaha
Khalaqtani wa ana abduk. So that Sayyid al-Istighfar is a very beautiful istighfar. It's not a long one, but it has a size to it. For anyone who is not even accustomed to saying astaghfirullah, the build-up process will be from the 60 seconds and move. Wherever anyone is, capitalize on that and build it with another 60 seconds. So if you're saying, well, Imam, I spend 30 minutes a day doing this stuff and every time we do 60 seconds, no. Do the 30 minutes plus 60 seconds, right? Add another 60 seconds. If you're nowhere or someone's nowhere, tell them to start with 60 seconds. If we are, mashallah, reading, like in my course that I teach on once a month, I tell people like 5 minutes of Quran stuff. We have this process that we're doing. If whatever you're doing, even the tahfiz children, I tell them, just because you're reciting Quran as a lesson or as a revision, that's not reciting Quran. That's reciting Quran for a purpose, right? Now, after you're done that, take 5 minutes out of your day and say, I'm just going to open the Quran and read it. It's a different touch. And it's truly different compared to making the du'as of saying, Rabbana atina, Rabbana hab lana, Rabbana, Rabbana, and saying, Allah, thank you. You know, we have to really, especially for the new generation, we have to encourage them to talk to Allah, whatever the language would be, however they speak it. You know, it was a Bedouin that was making those praises of Allah. Ya man la tarahu al-uyun wa la tukhalituhu dhunun. And I was like, that was amazing. How did it come? Because that's how he was talking to Allah. You know, that's the way he talked to him. So if we don't create that environment where people talk the way they talk to Allah, It could be in slang. It could be however. It's not disrespectful. Sheikh Zakaria rahimahullah in Kitab al-Hajj has written about a girl who was making tawaf of the Kaaba and she was singing to Allah. It was her way of talking to Allah. That's her thing, you know. We don't understand it, but we're not supposed to. It's an exclusive relationship. Let it be what that is. Let my relationship be what it's supposed to be. So inshallah, I think we've lost in translation that bond and that feeling with Allah. So alhamdulillah, inshallah. Yes, alhamdulillah.
Sometimes when it's even hard to talk, sometimes it's nice to write like letters to Allah. I don't know if that.
Should do that? That's good. Yeah, you know, think about it. They're telling children to write letters to Santa, right? Think about that. We don't understand the psychology behind connection. Writing a letter, speaking, talking, whatever it is. Some religions that go and talk to certain things, and whatever it is. We have a very legitimate, we have the legitimate source, and alhamdulillah, we want to legitimizing it by experiencing that feeling. So if a child says, you know, I want to write a letter to Allah, or we want to, in our diary or something, write it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the inner connection and the intent behind it. You know, people are just too fast to go off on a tandem and say, Astaghfirullah, who are you mailing it to? What's Allah's address? You know, how do you know? Like, again, lost in translation. Before you put that pen to paper, which Allah had also challenged, did He not in the Quran? Make all the trees into the pens and then all the water into ink and write the praises of Allah. He's saying, write the praises of Allah. So you're writing your praise and your prayers and your frustrations to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do it, you know? Let's make our religion that feel again, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan.